So just as I was getting really excited about the Model Y L coming out in the US, Elon Musk went ahead and posted on X that we shouldn't expect to see it until late next year, the end of next year, end of 2026, or possibly never. So what's going on? Did Elon Musk just go ahead and cancel this? Or was he just trying to prevent Osborning the current cars, Model Y in particular? I'm not so sure. So there's two options probably that's going on here. Either he is in fact trying to avoid Osborning the Model Y. So Osborning would be meaning that they are announcing a future product that is not out yet, and so the current product is not going to be sold or sold as much due to people wanting that new product that's going to come out that is better. And I do think the Model Y L is much better. It is going to be more expensive. So, yeah, it is more expensive. It should be better. But I definitely was more interested in buying the Model Y L than a refreshed Model Y. Definitely a refreshed Model Y is really nice. It's nicer than the cars that we have currently right now. But that would actually be a much better vehicle, bigger, roomier, had a lot of nice features, the second row and all that. So it's interesting that he would do that. And it's crazy to me that it wouldn't actually be out until the end of next year in the US. Typically, cars that Tesla manufacturers in China or Europe, then usually they're going to be out in the US within about 3 months. So it definitely seems more likely that it was going to be like end of Q4 or beginning of Q1 that the Model Y L is going to be available in the US. Turns out that does not seem to be the case. It sounds like they're actually planning on it being in production at the end of 2026. So if that is true, again, he might just be trying to emphasize that fact to not Osborne the current thing, but also he mentioned that FSD was going to be making it unneeded for the US market, which to me is pretty crazy as well, because if nothing else, you could just remove the steering wheel and release that same size vehicle in the US without a steering wheel, and it'd be a great robotaxi. So I don't see the argument for that. Yeah, they'd have to change the production of the vehicle to not have the steering wheel and that sort of thing, but it still makes sense for it to have the 3 rows and seat 6 people. That would be great for a robotaxi, in fact. And taking out the steering wheel and making it more like a cyber cab, that definitely would be very appealing. Now, I don't think personally that FSD is going to be anywhere near what it needs to be in order to be unsupervised across the entire US by the end of 2026. I'm optimistic about FSD, but I am definitely not that optimistic. Elon tends to be optimistic about things like that, but really, truly, to be able to sell a vehicle without a steering wheel or pedals in the US that is presumably going to be for a road trip. So the Model Y L is going to be like a road trip vehicle for larger families. I don't see that happening in 2026. I think maybe 2027, 2028 is possible, but you have to get past all those jurisdictions. So everywhere in the US, currently full self-driving vehicles like the Waymo cars, the Zoox, and the Tesla robotaxis are only actually in certain cities throughout the country, not even full states. So technically, I think Texas, they could release a robotaxi throughout the entire state in Texas if they wanted to, but they're not, because they are not that confident in version 13 that it is able to do that across the entire state, and they still haven't removed the safety passenger. But that's only one state that actually you could have it across the entire state where it's without a driver or supervisor. So I find it very unlikely that it would be across the entire country and I could purchase a vehicle and then say drive from Georgia to Disney World, or I should be able to drive from Georgia to California if I wanted to, or if it was FSD, it would have to be allowed in all of the states across the country. Now, hopefully, we are going to get a more countrywide, federal level certification for full self-driving and robotaxis, but I don't see that happening that quickly. And even once it does, I'm sure it has to be vetted across all these different jurisdictions, and they would probably still have say in whether they would allow it in that state or that area. And not to mention that, but also like just the certain edge cases, like just getting it into my garage a certain way, or I want to, move my car around so I can get something out of the garage, or I need to have the car go and pick up my son at school, and it has to be go through car line and follow the instructions of the people that do the car line. Those things, I don't know how you would even instruct it to do those things. So those definitely seem like edge cases that would be far off in the future. So you can't just have robotaxi taking care of all of this. I still don't think that would be possible in 2026. I do think it would be possible for me to be in the driver's seat so that I can take over whenever and that be across the country. But in that case, we should definitely get the Model YL, and we should definitely have the steering wheel still so that I can take over when I need to. And then sure, yeah, unsupervised would be fine while it's, say, on the interstate for, a given amount of time or whatever. But then once we get close to our destination, then I have to maybe put input in like where I want to go. I need to actually, scan a code or something to get into a neighborhood or whatever it may be. Those sort of things are going to be required. But anyway, that's just what I was thinking. Like, definitely I would like the Model YL. So I really hope that it's going to come sooner than the end of next year. It might be a combination of those two things. Elon's way overconfident about how FSD is going to take over, and there's not going to be any need for a steering wheel. And it might be also that they are not actually planning on producing it in the US until the end of next year. So it's sort of like they don't want to Osborne the current vehicles, so they're tampering expectations, as well as he is actually hoping that they won't have to produce the vehicle. But I definitely think that the Model YL, if it came out, would be a very strong seller in the US. Everybody's looking for a bigger SUV. Everybody wants SUVs. They don't want minivans. They don't want smaller cars. They definitely like SUVs, and they like 3-row SUVs. So I think it would be a huge seller. Sure, it's not the super boxy version of like an R1S that looks like, a big box. But it has very similar amount of space. So if somebody looks at the numbers and checks it out, it definitely would be something that I think would be a very big seller. So anyway, that's some of my thoughts. Hopefully it comes sooner than Elon is saying. But if not, I guess we'll just have to deal with what we got. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.